As you see how our government has changed and changed dramatically, and the way things are moving in, all over the world, it is important now more than ever that you get the truth. There is a fight for the truth, and I'll go into this a little bit later on in the program. The New York Times just released something that I can't believe I read. First of all, oil traders are betting on an Iran deal. Apparently, we're very close to a deal with Iran where they'll be able to sell their oil. So that'll take the pressure off for oil. Are we out of our minds? Understanding the rise of gas prices in the U.S., you ready? This is from the New York Times. This is what they want you to believe the cause of your gas prices going up is. A steady rise. American consumers have seen the constant cost of gasoline going up, along with many other goods and services, sharply in the recent weeks. The role of crude oil production. Gas prices have gone up in part because of fluctuations in supply and demand. Demand for oil fell early in the pandemic, so oil-producing nations cut production. But over the past year, demand for oil recovered far faster than production was restored. Really? Is that what it is? Additional factors at play. They must have covered it here. The price of crude oil is only one element driving up the gas price, right? Compliance with renewable fuel standards can contribute to the cost. The price of ethanol has increased, and labor shortages in the trucking industry. Is that what it is? Oh, no, there's also this, a global energy crunch. Other types of fuels, including natural gas and coal, are also growing more expensive. Natural gas has shot up more than 150%, threatening to raise prices of food, chemicals, plastic goods, and heat this winter. And then there's this, the U.S. response to combat soaring prices and their effects on inflation. President Biden has ordered a release of oil from the nation's emergency stockpile. He also asked the Federal Trade Commission to investigate possible illegal conduct by oil and gas companies. There's something important missing, Stu. What is it?
I don't know, Glenn. What could it be?
What could it be? Yeah. The closing down of oil pipelines, the closing down of drilling, the closing down of gas and oil. I don't know.
The supply side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
this
just
equation.
that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I want to, it's important that you know the facts so you can tell your friends, because that's the garbage they're getting if they're reading the mainstream media. And something has changed recently. It feels to me like the mainstream media has completely doubled down. When Canada can say no bail and possibly a 10-year charge for the woman who helped organize the trucker convoy.
You mean commissioned mischief? Is that what you're
commissioned
trying to say?
mischief. She's charged with commissioning or encouraging mischief. And that apparently is a 10-year prison sentence. No bail for her. But the Antifa member that took his car and ran it into people at the truckers' site that wanted to kill people, he's out on bail. He's out on bail. And he might face 10 months. Things are changing, and they're changing rapidly. Now, I've told you before about the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset, but there was something called the Great Narrative. And they asked writers from all over the world to come to Dubai and write the Great Narrative. Well, it is out now. And one of the writers on Substack has reviewed it. And it's so concise, I want to read it here. In recognizing the end of COVID mania, the Great Narrative is attempting to keep us on the edge. It's a grand call to take sweeping action to fight the climate emergency via Klaus Schwab's credentialed elite. It relentlessly hammers home the apparent necessity of taking dramatic, tyrannical measures to intervene in the climate. And by intervening in the climate, he means radically reorienting every nation on Earth by imposing a totalitarian global governance order. I'm telling you, people, this is coming, and it's coming faster than you can imagine. According to Schwab, the world must rapidly be transformed according to the designs of the technocratic elite, and we must adopt the ideas and policy preferences of 50 hand-picked narrators interviewed for his book, who he describes as global thinkers and public intellectuals. Schwab describes the great narrative as a book that goes beyond the realm of theory and serves as a call to action. We adopt the view that as they recover from the pandemic and embark on a path to radical and accelerated change, our societies and economies should be attuned to the needs of our global commons. He entertains a variety of ideologies and political perspectives. There is one group of people who are to be dismissed whole cloth. That group is individuals and groups that don't buy into the climate narrative. Schwab cannot hide his disdain for these rogue actors, who he notes with disgust are largely located in the United States. According to Schwab, the enemies of his New World Order include nationalists, populists, individualists, and those who support free markets. This is the guy who's bringing you the Great Reset. Schwab describes this cohort of supposed evildoers as conspiracy theorists who are responsible for all the world's ills. These individuals prop up, quote, anti-science movements that prolong the waning of COVID-19 pandemic. He writes, adding that his group is, quote, this group is hindering both public health and, more fundamentally, our ability to move forward in unison, end quote. Nudge, shove, shoot. He says the eye needs to be kept on the prize, and there is no time to waste. Climate action, quoting, sustainability, inclusivity, global cooperation, health, and well-being are the most important issues to address in our times. Quote, not moving right away and decisively would render our biosphere so hostile as to derail global economic growth and further endangering political and social stability. One page after another, the World Economic Forum chief showcases the climate agenda. Climate change is the, quote, greatest collective action problem we've ever been confronted with. Humanity has never faced an endeavor more complex, ambitious, and far-reaching than arresting the collapse of our ecosystem and stabilizing the climate, end quote. Klaus also shows off his unbelievable God complex as he frequently reminds the reader of his apparent unlimited technocratic faculties. He routinely reveals that he believes his group of colleagues have deity-like powers, and that once they unite their overall expertise, these technocrats, once in charge of all of us, can bring about unprecedented happiness and order. He considers, quote, inequality, particularly on the financial side. It is of the utmost importance. But rather than create opportunity for the masses, he prefers a system of state control, which would, in his view, quote, reduce demonstrations and local unrest. Schwab and his co-author advocate for a new social contract and propose a variety of solutions that will help bring the climate agenda forward. He advocates for the consolidation of global central banks around climate action, acknowledging this transition period may be brutal to some. They advocate for the harnessing of economic productivity through nature-based solutions. They discuss the advent of the bioeconomy, or targeted destruction of reliable energy while forcing people to eat alternate food protein sources, i.e., beans and bugs. Another solution is that of climate engineering. I am not making this up, such as blocking out the sun in an attempt to manipulate global temperatures.
Klaus Schwab or Montgomery Burns?
I know. This is the great narrative. This is the Great Reset. If you don't know about it, please get my book, The Great Reset. It is available, should be on bookshelves. What's the date today? 20th, 22nd?
23rd.
23rd. Should be on bookshelves again this week, if not next week. Amazon is taking orders again, so you can order it and get it shipped to your house. You can also get the audiobook wherever you get your audiobooks. But please pass this information on to people.
Yeah, audio and Kindle are available. And also, you can get the first chapter for free if you go to glensnewbook.com. So if you want to get started, that kind of paints the picture as to what the outcomes could be.
Yeah.
When all this stuff goes through, what the world looks like if all of this stuff happens. And it gives you, it sets the table pretty well for all the information that follows it.
Make no mistake, this is not capitalism. Make no mistake. Why would banks be fighting so hard to keep ESG if it wasn't ever going to be mandated by them? Why, when states are starting to mount a defense against this and saying you cannot use ESG to make any loans? You can use, any kind of metrics you want when it comes to finances. What is their job? How much money they make? But you cannot look at their social score. And banks are saying, we're not going to. You've got to stop this regulation. Why? It's telling you can do business as usual. It's telling you also you can't use this. If you're not going to use it, why are you fighting it so hard? Why? Why? This is not capitalism. This is to destroy the free market. You're seeing the beginning in an emergency order in Canada. It can happen overnight. Call your legislature, get involved in your zoning, get on your city council. Make sure ESG scores are out of your town and out of your state. It is the only way to fight it.